Enjoy all episodes of the RCWR Show on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for checking out the RCWR Show. Show the ultimate fan support and follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram at the RCWR Show. For original merchandise from the mind and hands of yours truly and friends, head over to cafepress.com/RCWR Show. Go to that next wrestling or concert event in style. That's cafepress.com/RCWR Show. And visit InfinityOneProductions.com, the exclusive home for new and exclusive original content, such as our 30 with Lee series, bonus RCWR Show episodes, and much more. InfinityOneProductions.com. That's with an E as in Edward, put in the actual number 1, InfinityOneProductions.com. Hey guys, listen up. Big news. You can now listen to our show on the brand new Satchel Podcast Player for both Android and iPhone. And here's the deal. While you're listening to us on Satchel, you can quickly and easily send a few dollars to help make our show happen. So if you're listening on Satchel right now, go ahead and click that donate button to send us some money. And if you're not listening to us on Satchel, you can download the podcast player at satchelplayer.com. That's SATCHELPLAYER.com. SatchelPlayer.com.
Warning, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR Show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Ah, yes. What is going on, my pretty babies? It's the one and only, the Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael. Lee Sanders here. You are checking out an all-new The RCWR Show, coming at you all this Tuesday night. What is it? February 28th, 2017. It is the last day in February. How I wish we had leap year all over again. I mean, I'm probably just the only one thinking about leap year, but does anybody remember how we had February 29th last year? I know I do, or maybe you all don't remember because maybe you all might have slept right on through leap year last year. Who knows? But I don't know. I guess I'm kind of wishing for that one extra day in February just to kind of balance out my crazy couple of weeks that it's been over here at my respected end. But hey, that's an entirely different topic for another time. Lord knows we got enough drama as it is, if you're a wrestling fan, on some of the stuff that has been happening since last we were on the air with you guys. You know how we do it here when we're live each and every single week. You know how to hit us up throughout all the respective platforms. But hey, one more time, show some love, man. We got the Twitter. We got the chat on Spreaker. We got Facebook. The RCWR Show. That's where you need to be right now as we're live for this next little bit, man. So, yeah, I hope your weekend was pretty good. Mine was definitely pretty on point. I kicked back, and I actually did a little bit of yard work out back of my house. I have a nice back patio, very spacious, and I pretty much was just out back. I said, you know what? I haven't raked the leaves up in a good minute. The weather has just been gorgeous over here. I mean, over here in the DMV, winter? What is this winter you speak of? I know nothing about this thing called winter. Is winter maybe the name of some girl? Is it the name of some stripper? What is this winter? Because, like, as far as the snow winter itself thing goes, we haven't like had any of that. I mean, seeing snow is like legend has it that Bigfoot is roaming around. That's how like the snow has been over here in the DMV. It's like, have you seen it? Like if you blink, you miss it. That's pretty much how it's been operating over here ever since winter season had began. So no sign of winter whatsoever. Just really nice, fantastic weather. Today, for example, it got as high as I believe, I want to say 64. Tomorrow, being Wednesday, it's supposed to get almost as high as 70 degrees, believe it or not. So we are just having some very insane tropical weathers going on over here. But like at the same time, it's like a roller coaster because 1 minute it's like, okay, it's 70 degrees. Oh, goddamn. And then the next day, bundle up because it's going to be 40. And you're like, what the hell? And let me tell you, when you have weather that keeps dipping high and low like that, a lot of people are going to get really, really sick. Let me assure you, if not sick, their allergies are definitely going to bother them. And my allergies have definitely been bothering me big time because of this roller coaster weather that we've been having going on. So we're coming on a little bit not at our usual time, and that was mainly because we saw the president give his, it wasn't really a State of the Union address, but you might as well just go on ahead and dub it that. Just to be on the safe side, you could definitely say it was the Trump address. Now, I know some people, they love their talk of wrestling and all that other stuff. And yes, there's definitely a big bulk of wrestling. But when I found out, and I actually did not find out that Trump was going to, right? Whoa, let me back up. Let me show him the proper respect. President Trump. When I found out earlier today that President Trump was going to be giving some type of a address to the American public, I was like, well, shit, I've got to at least try to comment about this. Maybe not at great length, but I definitely have to talk about it, at least acknowledge it. So I actually was kicking back and I was watching it. I mean, I was with Smackdown tonight pretty much for the first hour. And then, other than that, and shout out to Matt. I mean, Matt, if you can't check out the show live, man, it's all good. That's why you got it on the downloads, man. Seriously, look, that's the best thing about doing a live radio show. If you want to check it out live, and this isn't singling Matthew out, this is just for everybody. If you can't check out the show live, as much as that's like really showing a lot of support, that's fine. Just the fact that you go out of your way to download it, listen to it. I don't care if you do it on Stitcher. I don't care if you do it on iTunes. I don't care if you do it on iHeartRadio. I don't care if you do it on TuneIn Radio. However you do it, as long as you're checking out the show, that's all that really matters to me. And most importantly, you're interacting with me on the Twitter, or you're interacting with me on the Facebook. Maybe there was a funny point that I brought up that you really loved. You want to bring it to my attention. Like usually, that's what Razor and a couple of other people do. Like if I make some very valid points on the show, they usually hit me up the next day because they're probably listening to it at work or whatever. So if you can't check out the show when it's live, like it's not the end of the world, man. Seriously. I came on late because of President Trump. You know, it was interesting hearing what President Trump had to say. I wasn't even going to kick off the show talking about President Trump, by the way. I'll tease you all with that for now. I definitely want to go because there's a lot of wrestling shit I want to get into first. But if you want to pick my brain about what I thought of the president's speech tonight, for those of you that did not get a chance to watch it, maybe you were watching something else, or maybe you just weren't in front of the TV whatsoever, I'll give it to you in a nutshell later on in the show and genuinely give you my overall takeaway on some of the things that he had to say. So, crazy week that it's been since last we were on the air with you guys. I mean, just in the world of wrestling alone. I'm going to kind of work my way into talking about Raw and Smackdown. I do want to address one of the biggest elephants that's in the room when it comes to wrestling headlines from this past week. I see WWE commentator Tom Phillips got into a little bit of a fiasco over the weekend. Man, did shit just explode all up in his face. I don't know how many of you guys had heard about this, but I think you all, once you hear this and then you experience my 2 cents on this matter, my 2 cents from a distance, but I can kind of relate to what is currently going on with Tom, because I've kind of been in that situation before, but I'll get to that in a second. So to recap for you guys, Tom Phillips was trending on social media, even right on up into this week, mind you. Now, you all may recall that there is a girl that he has been seeing for the past couple of months, and it got to a point where some time ago, several weeks ago, he proposed to her, if I'm not mistaken. So they're engaged. Well, meanwhile, as all of this is going on, it turns out Tom Phillips, like behind his girlfriend, soon-to-be wife's back, he's been trying to play a little bit of a Mac Daddy to another woman. Yeah, I don't know if you guys had heard about this. So let's take it from the top, and we'll kind of work our way to everything that had, went down in recent hours, I should say, because we got some interesting developments that came about. So it looks as though Tom Phillips was caught allegedly sending sexually explicit messages to a woman on social media. Now, the woman whose handle is Missy, the Tattooed Girl, she was informed by friends of hers, if I'm not mistaken, that Phillips was engaged. And at that point, she decided, okay, you know what? I need to put this guy out in the open. Ain't no way you're going to con me like this and think you can get away with it. Think you can sweep this under the rug, try to lie to me or whatever like that. Okay, I got something for you. So she publicly showed the messages. This all went down via Instagram. So initially, from what I understand, just to kind of summarize it, because there's a lot of long blah, 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 blah. Just to shorten it up for you guys, put a nice little ribbon on it. Tom Phillips saw some interesting photo of her with one of her tattoos or whatever. She's in her early mid-30s. Mind her own business. She's single, and yeah, she toys around with the idea it'd be nice to find a guy, somebody I can kind of go steady with or whatever, but she's minding her own business. Tom hits her up, and he's like, hey, wow, that's a pretty cool tattoo there. What is that exactly? Or whatever the bullshit line is he gave her, and she's like, oh yeah, thanks, blah, blah, blah. One thing leads to another, and basically he's macking to her. When it's all said and done, it gets to a point where he says to her, hey, look, I want to continue having these conversations with you. I would love it if we could, exchange private messages. I want to DM you. So now they're doing the whole DM thing. So eventually her friends hipped her to, hey, this guy, he's taken already. So one of the first things that she put out as far as a statement, direct quote, this is why I don't trust people. Without my friends, I never would have known that a high-profile WWE commentator who was talking to me and wanted to get together is engaged. I had zero idea, and I couldn't be more sorry to the girl involved. You deserve better than this. Apparently, nobody is faithful anymore. Now, after this quote was put out there, Phillips' Instagram handle, his Twitter, all that shit just ended up becoming private. All right? Everything just became private. Now, apparently this woman, she had sent messages trying to follow up with Phillips to figure out, how you just going to leave me hanging like that? What the hell is going on here? Explain yourself, man. What the hell? So I'm sure you probably have seen some of the infamous messages that are out there now, but for those of you that have not, get ready to have your ears bleed. I'm getting ready to go raunchy. Our younger listeners, they aren't used to me talking like this. At Big Sports, you all may be used to this type of language, so kudos to you. So one of the main messages that is just like bullseye, there's a picture of him with this goofy looking face. And if you're looking at the synopsis of this episode, you see the thumbnail, you see the image that we're using for tonight. That pretty much is the face that he used when he was DMing her. And he says, I'm in my seat with a massive erection In 4 hours flight ahead, I'm gonna face fuck the shit out of you. I mean, that's literally how it looks. Alright? When you see Tom Phillips' face and you read the words, that's just, I mean, just picture Tom Phillips, grizzly beard, all that shit, and he just has this bewildered look on his face. He just has this glazed, trance look on his face. I'm in my seat with massive erection. In the 4 hours flight ahead, I'm gonna face fuck the shit out of you. Like, oh my God. Well, if that isn't a pickup line, I don't know what is. Oh my. Let me tell you. So, everybody was just having a field day talking about this. Me, when I first saw this news broke out, I couldn't help but go, shit just got opened, and it got opened real quick. This don't look good. This don't look good at all. And I thought for sure maybe we were going to hear the end of it. And I say that because when this woman put it out there the way that she put it out there, I couldn't help but go, well, good for you, sister. That's good for you that you put this information out there. And to her credit, she made sure her Instagram account and all that, she put it on private because she wasn't interested in being bombarded by messages and all that other shit. So she wanted to be done with it. But see, just like my favorite movie, my favorite all-time movie, Al Pacino, Keanu Reeves, The Devil's Advocate. What is it at the very end that Al Pacino as the devil says when he's trying to convince Keanu Reeves' character, hey man, what just went down here with this court case, man? Like, this is some heavy hitting stuff. This is like some 60 Minutes. This is going to get you newspapers and all that. And he just kept sweet talking him. Remember, Al Pacino at that point, he was a reporter. He just happened to be a friend reporter of Pacino, but it wasn't the real reporter, if I'm not mistaken. And at the very end, Keanu Reeves' character is like, okay, you know, let's go ahead. Let's meet later tonight. We'll have a few drinks. We'll talk about it. You kind of got me a little bit curious. I think maybe we can work something out. And what happens at the end? We see the reporter. He winks at Keanu Reeves and his wife. And as they walk off, the reporter looks dead into the camera, morphs back into Pacino, the devil, and he says, "Ah, vanity. It's my favorite sin." And I think what really got the best of this young woman was the fact that now she had all of this attention. Now she had everybody. And I know this. I've been in this game for so long. I know how it is. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry was coming to her left and right saying, hey, man, if you can like grant us an interview, we would love the opportunity to get your side of the story, to understand where it was that you were coming from with regards to this, how this all had transpired, blah, 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 blah. And when I didn't hear anything over the weekend, I said, okay, you know what? She don't want the spotlight. She just wanted to put this out there. She wanted to let it be known. Hey, look at this guy. What the hell? She was hurt. And I felt like, okay, she's one and done. But then I find out she granted an interview with my good friend Raj over at Wrestling Inc. Now look, I got nothing but love for Raj. Raj has been one of my main supporters for this show. I mean, every single time I needed one of my interviews highlighted, I went to Raj. Raj has done me some favors, and I don't mean for the interviews. I mean, I just asked Raj straight up, hey man, I did this interview. There have been times where Raj has been like, nah man, I can't do that one. Nah, I don't think the audience is going to be interested in that one. And me and him have always been cool. Always have been cool, regardless. But there have been some personal favors not related to interviews that I've gone to Raj and I've been like, dude, I need a solid, and Raj has been able to come through for me. within reason, he's been able to come through for me. So Raj is definitely a friend for life over here at the RCWR show. And I'm happy for Raj that he was able to get the interview opportunity. Make no mistake about that, because I don't want people that are fans of Wrestling Inc. and that are friends of Raj to think, oh, Lee's just jealous because... No. Because I could have done just like every Tom, Dick, and Harry and tried to see if I could score an interview with this woman, but I didn't want to go that route. And you know why I didn't want to go that route? It's plain and simple, and I don't need to beat this horse to death, because that is personal. I don't care about that. I care about Tom Phillips, the WWE commentator. I care about Tom Phillips, the guy that hosts the social media lounge. I care about the Tom Phillips that I see on my TV backstage interviewing the superstars before they make their way out to the ring. That is the Tom Phillips I am interested in. I could care less who Tom Phillips is sexting, texting, or having phone sex with. I could care less about that. That ain't none of my damn business. None of my damn business. Lord knows I got enough of my own fucking problems. I could care less about that. And I'm sure a lot of you all out there are like the same fucking way as well. Kudos to you if you are. But I could care less about that. So, this woman could have simply just said, hey, look, I said what I needed to say. I was honest. I put it out there. I don't need to say anything more. But instead, she decides, you know what? I'm going to go here and I'm going to open up and I'm going to put it on out there. Oh, but this is my one and only statement with regards to this. Okay, this is your one and only statement. All right, I'm going to hold you to this. So earlier today, our good friend Raj, he revealed a transcript of a conversation that he had with her. And I learned that according to Raj, there was a lot of other stuff that was said that apparently for Raj, that's the one thing I give Raj a lot of credit for. Raj is just like me in the sense of, okay, if the person we're interviewing is giving us way too much sensitive material that, like, okay, this may ruffle some feathers, or okay, this is just a little bit too personal, this kind of like needs to just stay between us and not the people that's going to be hearing or listening, that's going to be hearing or reading this interview, then you know what, let's just keep that between us. Let's just keep the intimate stuff between us, and let's just stick to what we're going to give the people to read or hear. And Raj has a keen eye and ear for that. And apparently there was a lot of other stuff that did not make it to the actual transcript interview. I doubt there's an audio interview. I don't think she probably wanted to be recorded. I could understand that because people may recognize her and, oh, she works at blah, 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 or whatever. So if she only wanted to do a transcript interview, I can totally understand that. But let me just kind of highlight some of the things that she had talked about with regards to going public, why she spoke out, and WWE apparently reprimanding Tom Phillips. So she mentions that they first started talking over a month ago, and that people seem to think that one message is the only message, basically what we had saw over the weekend, or they're under the impression that the photo that she had, somehow it was photoshopped, that there was a Photoshop picture that she herself had put together. And she said, no, there was nothing like that whatsoever. Me and Tom, we've been talking for a while. And as I had alluded to at the beginning, basically he saw a picture of her. And that's pretty much how it all had kicked off. And Missy, she never knew that Tom was engaged. Now, she, and I gotta quote her, I always knew who he was. I think some people thought that because of my friends, I found out that he was a WWE commentator. No, because of my friends, I found out he was engaged. I mean, I was a fan of his for years. I know who he is, and I know of his work inside the WWE. I wouldn't say I'm a fan in the sense of, wow, what a great commentator, let's follow him around. All I did was like a picture one day. Moving forward, we ended up talking in the DMs when he said he was single. He said he wanted to take the conversation off of DMs, which made sense, and he gave me his phone number. We were texting every single day from that day on. Every day. Now, guys and gals, stop and think for a moment. You meet somebody online. I don't care if it's eHarmony. I don't care if it's Match.com. Maybe it's Twitter. Maybe it's Instagram. You know how it goes. You like their posts, or you send them a tweet and they're like, oh, hey, thanks, you get a follow, they give you a follow back, however it goes. Okay, there's nothing wrong with this right here. We all have been down this road before, respectfully. There is not a day that went by until this past Thursday. We've spoken every single day. Okay, so there was also phone conversations. Every night we would FaceTime. So I was not catfished. Some people accuse that of happening. No, I saw his face. We FaceTimed before. We talked every single day and text messaged. Now, if Tom is engaged, I don't know how he's finding the time to do this. The only thing that makes a little bit of sense to me, he's doing a bare minimum of talking to his fiancee. And, oh, honey, I gotta get ready to go into a meeting, or, oh, honey, I gotta go to bed a little early because I gotta blah, 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 blah. Okay, love you, bye. That's the only way I can kind of see him getting away from her so quickly without really there being that much talk. And then that way he can spend the rest of his time talking to this woman, right? So she revealed that Phillips was reprimanded by WWE last week for communicating with her on a company phone. Now, marinate on that for a few ticks. On Thursday, he called me and said he had just been reprimanded by WWE Human Resources because he had been speaking to me this whole time on his company's cell phone. I was very upset. I felt like conversations had been exposed. I was not even aware that I was talking on a company phone. The picture and the airplane that conversation was on, let me reread that again. I apologize, guys. The picture and the airplane and that conversation was one of many. We've talked a certain way and we've always flirted. I'm single. I thought he was single. I thought we were just two consulting adults talking. I'm in my 30s and I'm not really sliding into DMs or whatever. He tells me on Thursday that WWE came down on him about the phone, that they're shutting down the phone, and they're shutting down his accounts, monitoring everything, and he doesn't think he'll be able to speak to me anymore. He said he wanted to make this Snapchat so at least he could talk to me and the messages would disappear. He was very paranoid. He was very paranoid from the punishment from WWE. She said that later that evening, she had a conversation with Phillips that had raised some red flags. That night on Snapchat, we were talking about the fact that we had made plans to meet up in Brooklyn. I'm located in Queens, New York, and he's supposed to be in Brooklyn in 3 weeks. So that was our plan, and we were talking about it. Now, let me pause right there just to kind of recap for you guys. I talked about this on the show last week, but WWE is supposed to be making their rounds in the New York area as they're on the road to WrestleMania. They're definitely going to be doing something at Madison Square Garden, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's going to be going down on March the 12th. I think there's something else that's supposed to be happening in Buffalo, New York, if I'm not mistaken. If you go back and you check out last week's episode, I actually mentioned the dates But there was a handful of dates that they were going to be doing in the New York area. So that kind of bridges where we're at right now when Tom was saying, hey, look, maybe we can meet around this time frame, yada, yada, yada. All right, so back to what she's saying right here. So let's pick it up. Where were we? 3 weeks. So that was our plan, and we were talking about it, and he was saying how he wanted to be on a date now. He said he wanted it to be like a date to see if it could be something bigger, and I said, sure. My friends took a picture of the phone because we were both in shock that he decided to turn this into a date, and then I asked him very plainly, why do you not have a personal cell phone to speak to me on? He said he just never needed one. He's always been just about his career. I said, I don't understand. Do you not have a personal life? Do you not have anyone to go home to? And he kept saying no. This was why he didn't have a phone. When I said that to my friend at the time, that's when she found that to be a red flag. She started doing some research on Friday and found his engagement video. Now, yeah, that would be a red flag, and it sucks that it didn't happen quite sooner, because let me tell you something. I've been a bachelor a few times in my life, and let me tell you something. Even though I was a bachelor, I always carried a personal phone. Yes, I worked my ass off. I worked many hours. I worked jobs where I did 12, 15 hours straight. I worked jobs where I worked, 8 to 10 hours a day. I'd work 6, 7 consecutive days. But I always found the time to take a little bit of time to myself. And it didn't matter whether I was talking to somebody or not. I had my cell phone just to either browse the web, or I could maybe, what else was I doing with my phone? If I wasn't browsing the web, I was probably playing some video game on there or something like that. But usually if there was somebody I was interested in getting to know, I definitely made it a point to slide them my digits. So yeah, you would look at that as a serious red flag. It just really sucks that it's just now kind of clicking on at this point. But hey, okay, it is what it is. Some people got to go at their own respective pace. I get it. All right, so we rounded off. I never searched, and I blame myself for that. I really believed him. Yeah, with a face like that, the way he talks, yeah, he probably does kind of come off sincere. Okay, I can understand that. I didn't think he had a reason to lie at all. That's what we read online. Something like he has an open relationship, which may or may not be true. But I still think I had a right as the other person participating to be notified of that. I knew nothing. He absolutely just kept telling me he was single, talked to me every single day, and then when my friend goes and says, oh my God, I just saw this engagement video, and I saw it posted on this photography website sometime in mid-February, and I realized this was while we were talking. He's doing all these things while we were speaking to each other and while we were making these plans. He wanted to fly me to Minneapolis yesterday on his mouse so he could see me. We never have met in person. This has all been through text, FaceTime, DMs. We were then supposed to meet in Brooklyn in a few weeks. He was going to give us tickets to the RAW after. And that's when he said, let's see if this could be something and we'll take it from there. So, she pretty much goes on. I'm not going to read any more of this because, there's like much more diatribe of everything that, she's putting out there. But, she rounds it off basically talking about how, this is really personal for her because, as much as she's putting Tom out there, she's also putting herself out there too. And she talked about how she has gotten support on social media, but at the same time has gotten a little bit of ridicule from the wrestling fans. And, she understands that. But as far as she's concerned, she just really wanted to put the spotlight on this because she just felt that in this situation, the way that she was being misled, it was just totally wrong. And then, not to mention, she really just wanted to put any and everything out there in the open to really try to force this guy to clarify, accept any type of responsibility, any type of wrongdoing at his end, accept that, man up, and then try to make things right. I basically explain. That's it. Just explain yourself. Now, whether or not she would have forgave him, they would have continued to go forward, who knows? But she is saying that this is going to be her one and only statement, and she hopes that everybody can move on with regards to this. And look, I applaud her. It takes a lot of courage, especially for someone that maybe doesn't have friends involved in the wrestling business, has never given any type of an interview before to a wrestling website or to a wrestling podcast or a podcast in general. I applaud her for having the courage to take this opportunity to speak. But at the same time, I can't help but question whether or not she was kind of liking having that spotlight on her to a certain extent. Because if you really wanted to move on from this situation, the only thing you had to do was basically say, okay, look, I know this guy works for the WWE. Okay, well, you know what? There's got to be some type of a way that I can get my message across for Tom, in that, hey, Tom, don't call me anymore, lose my number, I'm not interested in having anything to do with you. Now, you all may say, yeah, Lee, that's a very good point, which is even more the reason why I applaud her for doing this interview with my man Raj over at Wrestling Inc. for the simple fact, think about it. She had no way to get in contact with this guy, to challenge him, to confront him, to get the answers to many of her questions, because this guy just went fucking rogue. And 9 times out of 10, this guy probably does actually have a personal cell phone. She just ain't getting those digits because, hey, who knows? He and his girlfriend may have the same type of family plan deal. So one of them maybe are going to be able to look at the bill if it's coming in the mail, or they can easily go online and look it up that way, right? If you want to, out of the spur of the moment, that's your right. You can do that. So no, he tried to keep it as close to the vest as humanly possible. So for her to do this one and only interview, I think it was a really good point to make, which is basically, hey, Tom, the way you try to operate, now it's out there and it's out in the open. And whatever happens, happens. Now, I'm sure she doesn't wish Tom ill will to the point, hey, I hope you lose your job. Is Tom going to lose his job over something like this? No. Tom is not. He's not going to lose his job. He is not going to lose his job. If I were to do keep or fire right now, I'm keeping Tom Phillips. He has shown me many times over the years that he has a lot of potential as a commentator. I'm keeping the guy. There's still plenty of room for improvement. There's plenty of room for growth. You could do a lot with him. You can still mold him. He's still relatively young in his commentating career. I'm keeping him, as opposed to some other individuals I would definitely fire in a damn heartbeat. But the fact that Tom operated the way that he operated, look, I told you guys at the top, I don't care about this personal shit, but if I were to offer Tom some solid advice, because I've been there and I've done that, I can definitely relate to this. Now, Tammy already knows this, so I'm not saying anything new that Tammy don't already know, because I laid it all out on the table. But your man was a totally different person about 10 years ago. I was the type of individual who let me, ooh, that's a fine ass looking girl. I need to go holler at her. Hey, huh, how you doing? Hey, you come around here much? What's up? My name's Lee. You know, I'd Mac, I put the sweet talk on, I put the charm on, I got the numbers. It didn't matter to me if she was pretty. It didn't matter to me if she had a good job, if she had some type of money coming in. It didn't matter to me how good the sex was. I liked to play the field. I didn't give a damn. And if I could have it my way, if I could juggle 2 women, if I could juggle 3 women, I did that. That's how I handles my shit back in the day. Alright? I was a totally different person. I am a lot more, I guess you can say I kind of found like my HBK, Jesus Christ moment, because I'm like, sometimes it surprises Tammy. She's like, guy, you know, you were a freak. I'm like, yeah, well, you know, to a point, yes, I was. And she's like, well, you know, I'm glad you changed. And I'm like, yeah, I'm glad too, you know, and I sincerely am, because the way I operated, shit, people would get hurt, and I have hurt people. I mean, hell, God rest her soul. My ex-wife, I cheated on her. I remember I can relate to this Tom Phillips thing, because I remember I talked to this woman that had lived out in New York. And I remember at the time, it was like the first year I was married. And I don't know, I was playing around on Yahoo. It was back when Yahoo chat was still popular or whatever. And I talked to this nice, fine-looking Mexican honey that lived out in New York. I think maybe she lived out in Brooklyn. Or maybe it was Queens. I'm not really sure now, because it was so long ago. But she definitely had lived out in New York. And honey was fine as I don't know what. And I remember we just kept talking back and forth on Yahoo, and I flirted. Back then, I didn't give a fuck. I flirted the hell. If I saw that woman and I liked what I saw, I kept at it. I didn't care. I kept at it. I kept flirting. I kept flirting hard. I just kept going. Unless that woman said to me straight up, stop. I need you to stop. Respect what's going on with me right now. Respect the fact that I'm in a relationship. I didn't give a fuck. I kept going. If I felt I had a shot, I kept going. And I remember talking to this nice, fine, Hispanic-looking honey that was out in New York. And I remember somehow we ended up exchanging numbers. And I tell you what, late at night, once the wife was sleeping, I'd be on the phone. I'd be talking to her 2-3 hours. My ass wouldn't go to bed until like 4 a.m. I text her every chance that I got. Actually had made plans to try to see her. I forgot how the ex-wife got me red-handed. It's almost kind of coming back to me. I remember a situation that came about where it turned out the phone bill, there was a paper bill, and it turns out, and this is where I fucked up big time, and I'm glad it went down, but it didn't silence my sexual appetite at that point. But it turns out my ex-wife was not getting the phone bill in the mail. It was actually her mother that was getting the phone bill. So what normally would be like one sheet, I mean, it was a couple of pages long, the phone bill that she had got. And she had a very candid conversation with the ex and was like, is everything okay? Because I'm seeing like this long list here. I'm seeing all these dials that's coming in from the other phone. You know, is everything okay with you and Lee? And my ex, you know, she was like, what the fuck is going on? And I came clean and I told her, you know, what was going on. That's just one occasion where I was a fucked up, damn Lee, you's a cold son of a bitch. I'm telling you. And see, ladies, y'all need to understand. Some of us guys, we do some shady shit when we trying to have our cake and eat it too. That's just one of the ways that I used to try to. I didn't give a fuck. I did not give a fuck. only when I got into my late 20s, getting ready to creep into my 30s, did I say, okay, you know what? I'm getting a little bit too old for this playing the field shit. It's about time for me to settle down. I need to figure out what the hell I want. And, you know, sadly, when I was beginning to turn things around in my life and I was trying to repair my marriage, I had damaged my ex-wife so much that she kind of reverted back to the woman that she was long before we met, because she had a sexual appetite equal to mine. She loved having rendezvous with guys left and right, just hit it and leave. That's pretty much it. So, unfortunately, the way it ended, yeah, we ended up being cool. We ended up being friendly with one another, but she got back to that point where it was like, I'm just gonna fuck. I don't care what's going on. And I can remember having conversations with her where, you know, we were kind of like two dudes talking when we would talk about, hey, you know, how'd your date go this weekend? And, you know, we would just, you know, we didn't get horny talking about our sexual escapades or whatever. We just was like, damn, that's fucking hot. But I remember she was telling me this one story about how she was seeing this one guy for hookups, and he was married, and the wife didn't know. And I'm like, shit, what are you going to do if you get pregnant? What are you going to do if the wife finds out? And she's like, whatever, it is what it is. We both are adults, you know, we know how to keep it on the hush. I'm like, shh. At that point, I had already seen the light. So I was already making the transition of, hey, I'm a different person now. I'm not going that route. No, leave me alone. So my advice to Tom Phillips, as a person that's been there, that's done that, knows the playbook extremely well, Tom, if there is any part of you that sincerely cares about this woman who you're engaged to, I don't know what's going on with your personal life and your relationship with her, whether or not you all are continuing to see eye to eye or what, it's none of my business. That is between you, the man upstairs, and that woman that has that ring around her finger. That's for y'all to know. But Tom, if there's any part of you that cares about that woman, you need to pull her to the side and you need to let it out. You need to let her know what is going on, because I have been a firm believer in this, which is, in order for a relationship to thrive, you have to have successful communication. Both parties need to be able to express what they're feeling and not feel shut down. That's it. So you all gotta communicate. When you feel as though you're falling on deaf ears, then you're gonna do what you're gonna do, because your calls aren't being addressed. It's not being heeded. It's not being answered. So my best advice to Tom, figure out what is going on, if he's really serious about this. And you know, if it's at a point where honestly, it's okay if he's, I've been there, I've done that. Tom's probably saying, man, I get to go all around the world. I'm young. I got access to all these women. I'm a decent looking guy. I'm on TV every single week. Why am I tying myself down like this? If that's what he wants to be, is a player, he not a player, he just crush a lot. If that's the role he wants to go, there's nothing wrong with that. There ain't nothing wrong with that. I got no problem with that. But for the sake of this woman that he put that ring around and he's talking about marriage and all that, he needs to, if he's going to do right by anybody, he needs to do right by her. If you're serious about this relationship to the point you want to take it to marriage that'll lead into children, then you need to do what you need to do. Get you some marriage counseling, relationship counseling, whatever you need to do. If you don't like that idea anymore and you want to be a bachelor, you need to let her go and you need to go do your own thing. Enough said. That's the only time I'm going to talk about this, but I truly wish nothing but the best for Tom and the missus. Seriously. Like I said, it ain't none of our business. It ain't none of our business. All we need to know is what's up with Tom on TV. Hey, Tom's commentating. All right, let's see what he's going to say this week. That's all I give a damn about. So, other than that, some other stuff that went down this week. TNA Wrestling. God damn, what a crazy week it has been for TNA Wrestling, man. If you are a TNA fan, remotely a TNA fan, I'm telling you guys straight up, you need to be really concerned about this TNA promotion right now, because there are some dark days that looks to be coming right now. I mean, look, let's deal with the positive news first. On the one hand, we hear that Zeb Coulter, aka Dutch Mantel, he's come back into the fold in TNA Wrestling. He's now one of the heads of creative again. We got Jeff Jarrett. His official title has now been revealed. He's now basically the creative head honcho. He basically has the final say in what's going to go down, and any suggestions he wants to see done, last minute changes, or if he comes up with a really cool idea of his own, basically everybody right up under him, they've got to follow his orders. They got to follow his lead. So we got Jeff Jarrett's role now being revealed. We already know about the Carter family. They pretty much are like, yeah, you all are like not a factor in this anymore. But the Hardy Boys, they announced earlier today, right along with Rebby Sky, that they no longer are going to be working with the TNA Wrestling promotion. And things had got really heated with Rebby Sky as she had took to Twitter earlier today to address a couple of things that had came about. She had put out a series of some real kind of, I won't say tacky tweets. Some people kind of looked at the tweets as ghetto. I kind of looked at it more of her letting off a little bit of steam. But she actually did a interview earlier today with the good folks over at Busted Open, and she addressed the rumors, saying that it was in fact true. Matt and Jeff, they did confirm it on their respective Twitter accounts. And if there's any indication that maybe these guys might be coming back to the WWE, it's very well possible. I mean, just the fact that the Hardy store that has been active for about over 5 years now, that's being shut down. Rebby is saying that with her, she was able to oversee the site. It was able to get the much needed attention that it needed. But now that she is with another child, expecting another child, basically, it's a little bit cumbersome right now. I kind of see that to a certain extent, but I just kind of get this vibe. Maybe WWE is going to be a calling, but that's like a touch and go situation. But she basically touched upon what was going on with the whole contract negotiating. Now, this is very interesting too, and I mean, I see some things have not changed with the TNA Wrestling promotion when it comes to delivery. I mean, my God, even the fucking local pizza delivery people, who you name it. It could be Domino's, it can be Little Caesar. Well, no, Little Caesar doesn't deliver, right? They don't deliver, so actually scratch that. Domino's, Pizza Hut, Papa John's. I mean, it could be Super Bowl Sunday and they tell you, oh, you're going to have it in like 3 hours. There's a delay. The odds of you getting that pizza in that time frame as opposed to a TNA contract, you're going to get that pizza first before you get your new TNA contract. At least that's the way Rebby Sky is kind of putting it down here. So she goes on to say that all three of them had separate contracts with TNA Wrestling, but that they all had signed at the same time. And that they didn't know up until a few days ago if they were going to be re-signing. She said that they received their contracts like 5 days before, which was a note of contention for Matt and Jeff, although she didn't care. And she said that TNA, as far as she was concerned, it was a really good, perfect situation for them because it gave them the opportunity to work limited dates. The whole family got to be together. You know, when they traveled, it was okay for her to bring little Matt to work. She said that things have been changing and it wouldn't have been the perfect situation if they resigned. She also noted that she felt that someone in Matt and Jeff's position should not have to be chasing anyone for contracts for 6 or 7 weeks. And that after a while, it was like, shit, I'm not important. And she stated during this time they were getting weird vibes and feedback. They were waiting until the last second for their new contracts and noted that it takes time to review contracts. Very understandable. And I'm sure you guys probably heard about the rumblings that was being reported on some websites. I know Meltzer had touched upon it, basically saying one clause in the Hardys contract had saw them basically taking like 10%, TNA that is, taking a 10% commission from any bookings that they're doing outside of TNA. And I believe on top of that, there was like another 10% just off of appearances that they made. Did I say both of those similar? Let me try that again. So the first 10% is when they take bookings from other wrestling promotions. And there was something else that was in there, but the Hardys pretty much was like, get that shit out of here. We ain't having that. Get out of here. So she pointed out that there were several changes that needed to be changed in the contracts that were slipped in there, as they weren't given notice until the last minute. And when you just hear that, you kind of go, what the hell, TNA Wrestling? I mean, look, the Hardys have no reason to lie about anything like this. Now, look, I give Matt a lot of credit. I give Jeff a lot of credit. They have not spoke at length about what's going on to the length that Rebby Sky has brought up. And I think, quite honestly, given the gimmicks that they have going on, respectfully, they can't quite, you're not really going to get a clear-cut answer about what is going on with their contracts and all that other jazz. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen both of them, respectfully. Matt is really into this broken Matt gimmick. Jeff, you may have a better shot at getting actual answers, but Matt, he's going to give you the whole runaround. You're not going to really, you're going to have to decipher what the hell he's saying to you. So you have a better chance talking to Jeff if he grants you an interview. You definitely have a shot if you're able to talk to Rebby Sky. So for Rebby Sky to be as candid as she was with this, I don't see any reason for the Hardy family to lie about this. I mean, this just further strengthens the valid points that many wrestlers that have had the pleasure or unfortunate pleasure in doing business with the TNA wrestling promotion over the years, hey, they were late with my money. And you know what? I know everybody wants to be like, oh, it happens all the time. Try saying that to somebody that is relying on that money to come on time so that they can pay their car insurance. Try telling that to somebody that needs that money to come on time so that they can pay their mortgage. Say that to somebody that is waiting for that money to come on time so that they can make sure that there's food on the table for themselves and their kids, so that lights will still be on in their household, right? It's a totally different story when you aren't the one that's in that position relying on that money. But when you keep delaying somebody's money, sooner or later they're going to be like, okay, you know what? I've had enough of this. Sooner or later, if you keep putting somebody in a position where you say, well, I don't want you to come in to work this week, we'll see how it goes next week. And you're basically on a type of deal where you're paid per appearance. And this is supposed to be your full-time living and you're hardly being used at all. Then guess what, my friends? You're going to have to go into some other line of work or keep playing Russian roulette and hope that sooner or later you're going to properly be utilized in a way where you're making a decent payday from that employer, right? So for this to go down with the Hardys, I don't see how TNA Wrestling could drop the ball like this. I mean, one of the greatest highlights that you have for TNA Wrestling each and every single week was the Hardys. I mean, now things are remotely interesting because you have the Wolves, they're fighting one another. So that's a nice little angle that you got going on there. Eli Drake, I've been waiting for TNA to push Eli Drake to the moon. But I don't know. Why? It's like, what the hell? Bobby Lashley, yeah, he's still there. He's still doing his thing and everything like that. But Hardy's, you talk to a lot of the TNA fans, Hardy's is what was the lure for them. That's what made them stick around. So to not have them be involved in the TNA promotion, because they didn't show up at the recent batch of taping. So it's going to be interesting to see how their characters are written off. And one of the things that Rebby did touch upon on social media, apparently there is some type of a holdup. I would think of money, from what Rebby was kind of alluding to on social media. And she pretty much said, look, if we don't get taken care of, y'all ain't going to get these TNA tag titles back. We will gladly show up at another wrestling promotion with these tag titles. Or maybe I'll just melt these motherfuckers and we'll turn them into some gold earrings. How about that? So, some very interesting stuff that's going on right here. And she also alluded to the fact that they're just coming off really petty. They're being little petty bitches, in a sense. Not my words, pretty much hers in a nutshell, man. You gotta go and check out what she was saying there. But I'm under the impression that what is about to go down is possibly a nasty, my 2 cents from a distance. I could be wrong about this, but you all that are like, oh, Lee, do you think they're now gonna go to New Japan? Lee, do you see the Hardys going to ROH? Lee, do you see the Hardys going back to the WWE? No, not for the immediate future, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. My 2 cents from a distance. Matt Hardy loves this broken Matt Hardy gimmick. He knows that this incarnation of Hardy that he has going on is the best thing that he's had going on his entire career. Better than V1 in the WWE. Alright? Remember that? And he had Shannon Moore as his flunky. Even better than that. It surpasses that by 100,000 miles. Right? He wants to do everything he can in his power to continue to have that gimmick going. Whatever the promotion is, he wants to continue to have that gimmick running. Here lies the problem. You have TNA Wrestling that feel as though, hey, Matt, we gave you the creative platform to come up with this character. Therefore, we feel that this is a creation of ours, and since you're going to be leaving, you can't have it. This is our creation. So what I feel is going to happen is TNA Wrestling, I think they're going to try to take Matt Hardy to court, and they're going to try to figure out who gets the sole copyright and trademark of this broken Matt Hardy gimmick. That is what it's going to come down to. Now, with regards to Jeff Hardy, I see Jeff Hardy going back to the WWE. I can see Jeff Hardy going to Ring of Honor, or Jeff going to New Japan. I think at this point, both Hardys have alluded over the years they would love to go back to the WWE. They would love to pretty much put a nice bookend to a career by going back to the WWE. Lord knows the WWE could benefit tremendously using the Hardys again. It doesn't matter if it's on Raw or if it's on Smackdown. They would benefit tremendously having the Hardys again, especially to help work with some of these up and coming young talents that's out there, not just from a tag division standpoint, but also from a singles standpoint as well. Both of these guys, WWE would be very beneficial, not to mention all the network specials that you can do with the Hardys. Also, not to mention, if you ever wanted to do some type of a round table where you talk to the Dudleys, you talk to Edge and Christian, you talk to the Hardys about some of their infamous feuds and all that, I mean, people would clamor to the WWE network for stuff like that. New Hardy DVD. I mean, there is so much stuff you can do from a marketing standpoint with the Hardys coming back into the fold of the WWE. A lot of great potential, let me tell you. I could definitely see Jeff Hardy coming back, but Matt may very well want to bring the broken, and I wouldn't blame him. He may want to bring the broken Hardy gimmick to the WWE just so it can get the Kevin Dunn, Vince McMahon, even Triple H. Triple H has done some pretty awesome stuff there in NXT. He has proven that he has some really great concepts, some really great ideas. I'm sure Matt would be like, look, I see what you guys have done with a cat like Bray Wyatt, which alludes to an interesting tweet that Matt Hardy had with Bray Wyatt right when Smackdown went off the air. I ain't going to spoil it, but you guys got to go check out Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt's timeline. They had a very interesting exchange, and I know that's a matchup that a lot of people have been wanting to see for a good minute now. So there is a lot of potential that you can do with a broken Matt Hardy character under the WWE umbrella. So Matt may try to fight things just long enough to try to see exactly what's going to come about with whether or not he's going to be able to retain the trademark copyright for this gimmick. So my best estimation, quite honestly, I think the earliest you may see Matt Hardy in a WWE ring, September. If you're lucky, you may see Matt Hardy in a WWE ring in September. As far as Jeff, you may see Jeff as early as, what is this? We're pretty much going into March now. You may see Jeff around May. It's possible you may see Jeff around May. If there's no non-compete clause or whatever, no wrestling clause where they can't do their thing with other wrestling promotions, then maybe Jeff can show up a lot sooner. But just at the earliest, it's March. I'm going to stick with May. That's just my 2 cents right there with that. So, but yes, TNA, they definitely dropped the ball with the Hardys. All 3 of them, they dropped the ball. Also, they dropped the ball with Drew Galloway. Drew Galloway, he decided he wasn't going to renew his contract. He decided he was going to be rolling out from TNA Wrestling. There's another guy that, man, you looked at him. Remember how fucking TNA was pushing that guy to the moon? I still remember his first run as a TNA champion. I just was not feeling it. His whole entire run in TNA wrestling, I just wasn't feeling it. And I'll tell you the main reason why I was not feeling it. I wasn't feeling it from the standpoint of every time you turned around, and this was TNA's trademark. This was TNA's trademark. When they got a hold of a former WWE talent, they always pushed them to the moon to the point they had to put some type of a title around them. Or whenever somebody that hadn't been on TNA television for a series of months took some time away, as soon as they come back, all of a sudden they get shot right up into the heavy title picture. And all of a sudden they become a heavyweight champion. Now in the later years, TNA has tried to clean that up a little bit. And I think a good example of that, Brodus Clay. Brodus has yet to touch a title. Who's another example of somebody that hasn't, like, Rosemary didn't get the title for a good minute. She did not get the title for a good minute. So, I mean, they're trying. They are trying. I give them a little bit of credit. But to see Drew Galloway, it's like, how can you fuck that up? I mean, seriously. How do you fuck that up? So now Drew Galloway's gone. And now you got the report that's floating out there that supposedly Maria Kanellis, Mike Bennett, they decided they wanted to be done with TNA Wrestling. So tides are changing big time right now in the TNA product. And I know, just to kind of follow up on what Rebby had said in her interview earlier today, yes, there are going to continue to be diehard TNA fans because they have followed that promotion for so long, and there is still that part of them that wants to continue to root TNA on. But when you just hear what I just laid down, and then you see what you're getting on your TV when you do tune in to the TNA product, that TNA product needs a hard reset. It needs a hard reset, and I think that hard reset is going to come because now that Jeff Jarrett is in the position that he's in, and they're slowly but surely getting rid of the whole TNA, and now they're just going with Impact Wrestling, and now they aren't referring to the titles as, oh, it's the TNA tag titles, or it's the TNA world blah blah blah, or the TNA women's. Now they're just calling it, oh, it's the women's title, oh, it's the... Jeff Jarrett is in a perfect position where if he is able to get a significant increase in the ratings based on the new team that he's brought in, and we're hearing that as early as this week's tapings that Karen Jarrett may be showing up on TV, you know how that rolls out. But I have a feeling that if Jeff Jarrett can get on some type of a streak where viewership increases and the ratings increase, what we are experiencing right now as a wrestling community whole, we could be seeing the seeds be planted for the launch and replacement of TNA Impact with Global Force Wrestling. That is the God's to honest truth. So you talk about, I mean, wow. If you'd have told me that Jeff Jarrett would just kind of come back full circle like this, I would tell you I don't see that happening. That is like one hell of a swerve. But the way it's looking right now, I wouldn't be surprised if ultimately TNA morphs into GFW. I really would not be surprised. We'll see where this all plays out in the next couple of months, man. So that's all the craziness that's been going on in TNA. Let's talk a little bit about WWE, and I'll definitely address some of the questions we got in the chat in just a hot second. So I see for Raw this week, look, we can both be in agreement. Raw and Smackdown this week only had a couple of decent points that was worth checking out overall, honestly. Which reminds me, I didn't do a Smackdown poll because I was checking out the presidential address, but I did put out a Raw poll, wanting to know what you guys had thought about Raw for this week. And looking at the polling results right now, you still got plenty of time to cast your vote. Looks like 0% of you all did not miss it. You didn't skip it. 14% of you thought it was an awesome show. 36% of you thought it was a bad show with a few okay spots, and 50% of you, holding steady strong right now, felt it was a average show. There is only, honestly for me, there was only a couple of bright spots that I had enjoyed about the Raw product this week. I like the exchange that went down between Kevin Owens and Goldberg to pretty much kick off the show. I thought that was a really nice spot right there. Braun Strowman having a really solid, brutal contract signing. I love the fact that it got really physical. Kind of a nice departure, if you will, from your typical contract signing. I enjoyed that. It was pretty much a brawl. I like that. I like seeing Braun get in the face of Mick Foley, saying he's weak. At one point, he would have shown him the proper respect, but he doesn't anymore because as far as he's concerned, he's no longer a hardcore legend and all that. And you just kind of felt bad for Mick Foley because all throughout the night, we just kept seeing Mick Foley be verbally abused. I mean, we see Stephanie McMahon. My God, did she castrate Mick Foley or did she castrate him? I mean, my God, you talk about chopping a man down to size and then ripping his balls off. The verbal assault that Stephanie had laid down on Mick, it was like, ooh, And it's really coming off as though Mick Foley is going to be meeting his, writing-wise, his exit from Raw, so he can go get this much-needed hip surgery and rest in the sun for a little bit, man. But yeah, I love the brawl that Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns had to close out Raw. I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was a good spot. I'm thinking about some of the other action we had got. I really didn't care for anything else. I did enjoy the tag match. Was it a tag match? Yes, it was. Sasha Banks, Bayley taking on Charlotte and Nia Jax. I thought they did pretty damn good. I love the fact that Dana Brooke is all nice and muscled up again. That's the Dana Brooke that I remember from her tenure in NXT. I love that. She's still kind of a little bit clumsy in the ring. And when I say clumsy, I mean clumsy from the standpoint of her timing is still a bit off. Like, she really comes off like she's really not quite sure what she should be doing, like, immediately after executing a move. Just watch her matches. You'll kind of see what I'm talking about. Kind of play it in slow motion. She still kind of has a confused approach about her in the ring. Was it just me, or is Nia Jax losing even more weight? I saw her come out this week, and I swear to God, she's got like hips now. Never noticed that before. Sister's got more hips now. She's really slimming down. Really liking that. For me, though, the moment of the night, other than the Braun Strowman Roman Reigns, I really got to give it up to the Triple H Seth Rollins segment. Now, look, I'm going to go in a different direction with this, because I know there was probably a lot of people that were really praising the hell out of this segment. Now, if you ask me from what was presented to us, was it good? What was presented was good. But let's be brutally honest. To have Triple H basically say to Seth Rollins, "I'm begging you, Seth. I'm begging you, man. Don't show up at WrestleMania. If you show up at WrestleMania, I promise you, don't show up. Don't show up at WrestleMania, because it'll be the end of you." I mean, that's no different than basically saying, if you come to my house, please don't come to my house. Please don't come to my house, because I'm going to fuck your brains out. Please, whatever you do, don't come over to my house. I will fuck your brains out. Don't come to my house. Don't come to my house, please. Don't come to my house. Whatever you do, don't come to my house. I'm going to fuck your brains out. What do you think is going to happen? So, to basically hear Triple H just, "Please, Seth, I'm begging you." I'm like, okay, so Mania match is on. Okay, we get it. All right, great. I felt they could have done so much more with that, quite honestly. I'd be here all night just throwing ideas at you all, but I just wish, quite honestly, they didn't do that. I really wish they did not do that, because by having Triple H come out there, they basically were sending the message, the WrestleMania match is happening. So I think another way you probably could have done this, I mean, let's really be for real. Seth probably could not have done anything physical. If so, something would have went down during that segment, and it did not. It did not. But honestly, I think things really should have just ended with Triple H not even showing up. It should have ended with Seth Rollins closing out the interview. Yeah, I'm really bummed out, but I'm making a promise to you guys. I'm going to do everything I can to come back 100% healthy, and you haven't seen the last of me, guys. I promise I'll be back. I'll be stronger than ever. I appreciate you all's well wishes. Really, it means a lot. And just keep me in your thoughts, keep me in your prayers, and I'm going to let you guys get back, man, because we got a lot of great action still to come. So, Corey, if you don't mind, let's just go ahead and wrap this up. And that could have been it right then and there. Now, what would have been interesting if I would have been writing this, you have Seth Rollins, you show him after a commercial break, we see him backstage, and you see a couple of superstars. They're like, "Hey, Seth, hey, man, tough break, get better, man, come back soon. Hey, man, don't forget, I'm going to call you later. I'm going to check in on you, man. And as Seth is pretty much making his way, I don't know, he could be making his way to a limo or wherever. He can just, like, shockingly have a ghost look on his face as he just bumps into Triple H, and Samoa Joe is right there. And they could have been just standing there, just gawking at him, and, like, the only way Seth Rollins can get to his fucking car or whatever, he has to go past them. And honestly, you could have just had a silent, awkward exchange. That's it. Just let the moment sell itself. And you could have just had Seth Rollins just standing there seething as Triple H and Samoa Joe walk on and they got smiles on their faces. I would have personally left it like that. That's exactly how I would have left it. Now, some of you all may be saying, well, Lee, how the hell, if you're going to do a WrestleMania match between Seth and Triple H, how do you kind of like get back to that point where, you know, you make the match happen? Quite honestly, there's a couple of ways you could have approached it. If it was up to me, I would have actually let it be a surprise at WrestleMania. That's it, honestly. Let the fans not see it coming. And you know WWE is capable of this because does anybody remember a couple of WrestleManias ago when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson had an improv match? Anybody remember that? So it's not like, oh, WWE doesn't know how to do shit on the fly. They know how to do shit on the fly. If there's something they don't want you knowing until the actual event happens, they know how to pull the trigger on that. So there's so many other ways that they could have done that, but just the fact that they just blew their load like that, it was kind of like, oh, well, that takes away the fun. That takes away the suspense. That takes away the build-up. Hey, is this going to happen or what? Now you know it's going to happen. So it is what it is. But yeah, you know, decent Raw. I see Samoa Joe, Cesaro. They had a good matchup. I actually enjoyed that one. That was another thing that kind of came to my mind a little bit. Of course, one of the biggest pieces of news that came out from Raw this week was who was going to be going into this week's WWE Hall of Fame. And it is none other than Adam Copeland, aka Edge's wife, Beth Phoniex. I had posted a rather lengthy post. I kept it short and simple, but I had talked about this, gave my real-time reactions to the news earlier in the day as it came about. And, you know, just to kind of recap it a little bit, because I've had a couple of days to marinate on this a little bit more. If you ask me straight up, what do I think about this? I got to be honest with you all. I still feel as I did the other day, which is, let's answer the question, does Beth Phoniex belong in the WWE Hall of Fame? Yes or no? I say yes and no. Now, before I dive into it, the one thing that we need to recognize, although there is not a physical WWE Hall of Fame as of yet, it is still a Hall of Fame in itself, and this is always, this time of year, supposed to be a joyous occasion for wrestling fans all around the world, different nationalities, different religions, all that. You know, this is supposed to be that one moment out of the weekend where we all can come together for a joyous occasion and basically recognizing somebody's body of work. So we should never get away from what the Hall of Fame for the WWE is all about. It is all about recognizing someone's work. I know that there are a lot of people that are very divided about this right now. Yes, she does deserve to go into the WWE Hall of Fame. And what makes her story such a very interesting one is when you go back and you do your respective research on Beth Phoniex, you'll find that in the late 90s, she had began her training to be a pro wrestler, and she didn't go out on the independent circuits until the early 2000s. And she did some work with the Shimmer promotion. She also respectively did some work with the, if I'm not mistaken, the Glow promotion. So, she also did some work with OVW. No, Glory is the promotion I was thinking. Forgive me, guys. She did some work with Glory, Shimmer, OVW. And then after that, she came on up the main roster. One of her first feuds was taking on Mickie James. The great rivalry that they had going on. She also had feuded with Trish Stratus. She feuded with Melina. 3-time women's champion, 1-time Divas champion. Was the second woman in Royal Rumble history to enter the Rumble and fight a man. Actually had eliminated the Great Khali, even though she didn't really do physical strength to get him out of the ring. From what I remember, she basically kissed him and it sent him kind of like flying out the ring that way. So a decent, respectable body of work. But in my mind, she is still nothing more. And this isn't a knock. This isn't a diss. I'm just calling it how I see it. And it doesn't mean that what I say is the be-all, end-all. But she comes off to me when I look at her gimmick as a packaged, modified version of Chyna meets the late Luna Vachon. And so for me, it's just kind of like, and I can't really help but think even more long and hard about the women that are not in the WWE Hall of Fame that are so deserving of going in before Beth Phoenix. And I'm not going to beat this horse to death. I know probably my colleagues have beaten this horse to death. I don't know. I would imagine they did. I can tell you this much. There were so many people and it was very interesting because on the one hand, the people that were saying, oh, Beth Phoenix, so happy for you, so glad that you're going into the Hall of Fame. I noticed that a lot of the people that were saying they were happy for her, they were rather young. And when I say they were rather young, I saw definitely a lot of teenagers. I saw people that looked as though they were probably 20, maybe 21. So I'm kind of going, oh, so you were definitely in your teens when Beth Phoenix had first made her debut. Okay, interesting. Or it might have been a case where you had somebody that was like maybe 8, 9, 10 that could remember Beth Phoenix, and now they're getting ready to graduate high school or whatever, and they're like, oh, congratulations, blah blah blah. So I noticed a lot of young people were like, oh, Beth, congratulations. But like the people that were being outspoken about, hey, all due respect, Beth Phoenix, yeah, decent body of work, but way too soon. It came off like it was people that were in their mid-20s and up. Mid-20s and up. And I just want to share with you some of the interactions that people were posting about what was going down with Beth going in here. Because, I mean, a lot of the people, they had some really good things to say. Like take, for example, Billy Davis. Beth Phoenix inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame before Chyna and so many other deserving past women wrestlers is wrong. Or take typical Sterlo. In all seriousness, how is Beth Phoenix a WWE Hall of Famer? This is such a joke to me. Brian Ghoulish, I can't take the WWE Hall of Fame serious. Beth Phoenix gets in, but Owen Hart still isn't. Jobber Nation TV, Chyna should be in the WWE Hall of Fame, not Beth Phoenix. Beth Phoenix, hashtag not my Hall of Fame. I'll read a couple of more to you guys. Positive K, Beth Phoenix getting into the Hall of Fame before Chyna is fucking bullshit. You guys seeing a theme here? At Stephanie McMahon, Chyna, stop hating, get over it, Stephanie. She is dead. She deserves a spot before Beth Phoenix. You are still acting like a side chick. That came from Sarah. Sparkle Crotch, Viva la Amanda. Way too early for her. Beth Phoniex had an amazing career, but other women deserved it first. Chyna, Molly Holly, Victoria, Luna Vachon. Two more for you guys. Daniel Jensen. Beth Phoniex is the Terrell Davis of this year's class. Had a great 3-year run, and that's about it. And one more. Dean Morton, D-Man 6195. Beth Phoniex seems rather soon. Deserved, yes, but it could wait another 10 years. How is it in this day and age? You know how we had Princess Diana? Well, the WWE had Miss Elizabeth. She brought grace. She brought class. She was flashy. The dresses that she wore down to the ring when she was accompanying the Macho Man, Randy Savage, the dresses were just so breathtaking. You were captivated. You were in awe. If you were a boy, you were like, wow, she's pretty. And as you started to find yourself going into puberty, you were finding that Miss Elizabeth was kind of bringing certain sensations in your body you didn't know exist before. If you were a girl, you were like, wow, she is so pretty. She was like as pretty as your Barbie dolls. You wanted to be like her when you grew up. She had touched so many people's hearts for a woman that was so quiet, but like when she opened her mouth, we as wrestling fans, we watched, we listened. We clung on to every single thing that she said from the moment that she came out. We all can be in agreement. Was not quite the same once she popped up in WCW and she was with Woman and, doing the whole Kevin Sullivan thing and all that just, and then with Ric Flair and all that, that just wasn't quite, it wasn't the same. But she's not in the WWE Hall of Fame. We don't even need to go into China. I think I've spoken about that many times on the show in the past. Sable, she was the female face of the Attitude Era, and I mean, her and Sunny alone, they pretty much had ushered in the Diva Era. If you really stop and you think about it, they pretty much laid down the foundation for, so this is the direction we need to go with women. And it ain't about fucking wrestling. It's just about putting them in bra and panties matches and all that. Yeah, just hot bodies. That's what it needs to be all about. So although Sable may have been the face of the Attitude Era, she also had her share, just as Sunny, in ushering in the Divas Era. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Sunny is in the Hall of Fame, but Sable is not in the Hall of Fame, correct? I just want to keep it to women for right now. Let's just really home it down. Let's keep it to women. So, Sable, unless I missed it, I missed the memo, Sable is not in the Hall of Fame. Bull Nakano. You don't know about Bull Nakano, you need to go brush up on your history. How in the hell is Vicky Guerrero not even in a Hall of Fame? Let me tell you something. In my Hall of Fame, I would take Vicky Guerrero over Beth Phoniex any day of the week. I mean, just really stop and think for a moment. When her husband, God rest his soul, Eddie Guerrero, had passed away, that was the financial provider. That was the breadwinner of the family. Vicky had dreams, aspirations that she wanted to do, but she decided, you know what? Eddie really loves this wrestling. He wants to see it through. He's having a really bright career with this. It's providing a really good life for our family. Okay, I'll stay home. No problem. I'll stay home. I'll take care of the kids. He's on the road. Okay, no problem. No problem. So her dreams, her aspirations, her life that she wanted to try to carve out career-wise, she put it on hold in support of her significant other. That's what couples do. Sometimes you got to make sacrifices, even if it's like the unpopular one, right? So Eddie dies. And WWE's like, man, look, we really feel Eddie was our family. What do you say? We'd like to offer you a job. So she takes a SmackDown general manager role and just somehow is able to take that. Just something mediocre. And she becomes one of the most hated, all-time, heated, on-screen characters in WWE history. I mean, seriously. Stop and think about that for a second. So, I'm sorry, but in my Hall of Fame, I don't even have to think twice. Vicky Guerrero would definitely go in before Beth Phoenix. All the women that I just named so far would go in before Beth Phoenix. Do I really need to say anything about Luna, daughter of Mad Dog? Do I really need to say anything about her? I mean, she was small, kind of compact, strong as hell, good as grappler, and she was the true definition of being a anti-diva. We got Nia Jax. I'm not like most girls. We got all that bullshit running around. No, let me tell you something. Luna was the true anti-diva. And for all of her hard work and dedication and time and effort that she had put into the sport of pro wrestling, her story is the most sad, because all that she was putting out, she wasn't getting back in return. And to this day, it's just a travesty, when you just think about the circumstances leading up to her death and, just how she went out. And we've seen other wrestling promotions try to honor her. And it just sucks that after all these years, WWE still has not put Luna in the fucking Hall of Fame. But Beth Phoenix goes over Luna? The fuck is up with that? Seriously. Missy Hyatt. Last I checked, Missy Hyatt is not in the Hall of Fame. Akira Hokuto is not in the Hall of Fame. I'd be here all night going over the females that like. Now, let me tell you something. If I'm Beth Phoenix, if I could give any solid piece of advice to Beth Phoenix, because I'm sure she has been hearing it left and right. Beth Phoenix, if she really wants to set the right type of an example for her children, future children, she has a very, very heavy burden that she needs to get off her chest when she gets ready to do this acceptance speech. If I'm Beth Phoenix, yes, go ahead. Accept this gracious honor, because it is a privilege, and it definitely is a true honor, because now you are joining the elite. But at the same time, take advantage of the controversy that is now spread throughout social media, throughout the wrestling forums, and listen to the overwhelming wrestling community. Recognize the fact that there were other women that had paved the way to present to you the opportunity that you were able to have for the short tenure that you were with the WWE. And at that same time, during that acceptance speech, use it as an opportunity to put over the other women that helped you along the way, that inspired you to want to get into the sport of pro wrestling. The women that you had the opportunity to work with night in and night out. But most importantly, get the conversation talking with WWE personnel. Get them talking about who they need to look into for next year's Hall of Fame for their women's division, right? The women that need to go into the Hall of Fame next year. Bring up the Lunas. Bring up the Chynas. Bring up the Miss Elizabeths. Bring up the Bull Nakano. Bring up the Missy Hyatts. All these women are definitely deserving of going into the Hall of Fame. So you know what? If all of them cannot go into the Hall of Fame next year, I would love to see a start somewhere with these women that I just named. And the top three that are screaming at me right now is Miss Elizabeth, Chyna, and Luna. Out of those three, I gotta at least see one of them a fucking lock for next year. So that would be my advice to Beth Phoniex. Use that speech as an opportunity, and I wouldn't even let WWE know about the speech because we know how scripted those things are and they try to figure out what they're going to say. You can give them a shit little smoke screen speech, but go off the cuff once you're on that stage and you're live on the air. That's how I would pitch it. That is seriously how I would pitch it. So I cannot wait to see this acceptance speech that Beth Phoniex, I tell you what, if she goes that route, and she mentions, hey, I'm honored, but I gotta acknowledge these women first, and hey, while I'm thinking about it, while I'm talking about it, while we're here, how about next year? If she goes to all those points, she will have earned like mad props from me. I mean, I've always been a fan of her, but truly when it comes to defining moments in a person's life, that is when you're really able to define their character. So I'm going to be paying very close attention to this speech, because I'm going to be paying very close attention to how her character is going to be defined coming out of it afterwards. So I can't wait. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen with that speech. Woman should be in the Hall of Fame, even if it's under her maiden name. Just do it. Wrestlers afterwards. Yeah, a woman should definitely be in there. I would agree with that as well. Looking at some other comments we got in the chat here, stuff I'm supposed to read. Just skimming through here. And I was a slut, Razor. I was a slut. I'm not a slut anymore. Let's see. What else we got here? You guys are just kicking back, just interacting with each other. That's good. Somebody's got some McDonald's. Anybody tried the new Grand Big Mac yet? Is it really as big as they're playing it out on TV? Like, is it really worth checking out? I must know, because I'm kind of curious. So, Smackdown. I did see a little bit of Smackdown. I saw the 2 out of 3 falls match between Becky Lynch, Mickie James. Not too shabby. I see AJ Styles had won his number 1 contenders match against Luke Harper to win the right to face Bray Wyatt for the WWE title at WrestleMania. A little bit of controversy, though, as we saw Shane McMahon get involved. And it looks as though... you guys got to help me out. Did Shane restart the match or something? Because when I came in, Shane basically was talking to a referee, and he was talking to AJ Styles, and he kind of was like, no, it ain't going down like this. And then I see when Luke Harper inadvertently kicked Shane in the face, that pretty much took Shane out for a bit. AJ hurried up, beat the crap out of Luke Harper, and he took advantage. He basically had jumped on the top rope, did a little moonsault splash or whatever, picked up the 1, 2, 3, and that pretty much was it. I love the ending of Smackdown. That was fucking amazing to see Randy Orton basically burn down the house, which was basically housing the corpse of Bray Wyatt's sister Abigail, and he pretty much torched that bad boy while letting Bray know, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for that title at WrestleMania. So you hear that, you're kind of like, okay, so what exactly does that mean now for WrestleMania? Did it just become a triple threat? Or if you ask me for my 2 cents from a distance, I'm getting the impression that what's probably going to happen, and they're going to have to really explain this. And if I'm the WWE, the suggestion that I would have for next week's SmackDown, I would have AJ Styles walk up to Shane McMahon and be like, what the hell is going on with this Randy Orton saying he's going to face Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania for the title? What the hell do you call what I just did last week? And honestly, I would like to see Shane McMahon, because the way it's looking right now, I'm really getting the impression it's going to be Shane taking on AJ at WrestleMania. I'm with you all. I hope it does not happen. I really, really hope it does not happen. I would rather see like a special Raw versus SmackDown attractions match. AJ versus, I don't know, Cesaro, or AJ versus, well, you can't exactly do Samoa Joe. Maybe you could do Kofi Kingston versus AJ. I think those two would have a pretty solid matchup, respectfully. But man, I just get this weird vibe that Shane is probably going to reveal some lame ass line. If I'm a writer, I'm basically saying, well, look, I spoke with Randy Orton earlier today, and quite honestly, I thought I'd have this resolved, AJ, but ever since Randy Orton had decided he was not going to face Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania for the title, I pretty much have been chasing him down, trying to get him to sign some documents stating that he is relinquishing his spot to face the WWE champion at WrestleMania. Randy Orton never signed those documents. So as a result of him not signing those documents, yes, he is still the Royal Rumble winner, and he will go on to face Bray Wyatt. So unfortunately, it's going to be between those two guys. You'll get your shot at a later date. I'm looking for Shane McMahon to say something along those lines, which just basically sets AJ off the edge. Like, it pisses him off so much that he just decides, okay, you know what, fuck this, and he attacks Shane McMahon or something like that. I can see just the way they're kind of laying down the foundation right now. I can see something like that possibly happening. Nakamura, Shane brings in Nakamura. I think Nakamura would be better suited on Raw, quite honestly. As much as I would like to see Nakamura on SmackDown, where I feel he would really get his just due, I actually would prefer to see him on Raw, because Raw is in dire need of another like top tier babyface right now. So I don't know, WWE that is got this weird obsession with Shane McMahon wrestling this year. I can't end the talk of SmackDown without, of course, talking about that shit that went down with John Cena and The Miz. That was a great opener. Miz, Cena, classic promo at its finest. That is how you fucking make it happen. That is how you sell a segment. I thoroughly had enjoyed that tremendously. That opener, just seeing Miz and Cena go back and forth, trading shots. Yeah, it was the recycled, man, Miz to Cena, hey, now you know how I felt because, I've been busting my ass doing all this. We pretty much heard the same rhetoric that like all the other superstars had said in the past, but it was really kind of refreshing, if you will, to see The Miz in a rare opportunity right here with the face that runs the place. I ain't talking about AJ. I'm talking about the real face that runs the place, John Cena. It was really nice to see this rare moment where Miz like really captured that moment as best as he could, and I thought he did a really good job. Typical John Cena, just cutting down his opponent to size. I really was just cringing just hearing John Cena just basically dissect the hell and just chop down Miz to size, little bite-sized pieces. I just couldn't help but go, damn. Now, it was tough to watch, but seeing John Cena get bitch slapped by Maurice, by the way, you could tell she really did not want to slap John Cena. I mean, it was like a little light punk ass. That was nothing, and not because she's a girl, but it put some, hey honey, put some stank on it. You know, put some mustard on that damn slap. You know, it's like you're gonna go at it hard, go all the way. So it looks as though we're gonna get an intergender match with Miz, Maurice taking on Cena, Nikki Bella. I really don't have a problem with that. And then, before I forget, for Cena to say that shit, if I really had stroke like that, I wouldn't be in the ring with you. I'd be facing Undertaker. Talk about a nod to the fans that like, oh, Cena versus Undertaker. What's up with that? What's up with Cena versus Undertaker? And then you hear the rumblings how Cena wanted to face Undertaker, and like, that's not the route that they're going to be going. Which kind of brings up still a really good point, like what exactly is going to be going down with Roman Reigns? Like, is Undertaker in his future or what? Well, you know, what's going on? Pull the trigger already. So Smackdown though, pretty decent this week. I did not want to go this long tonight, but I mean, it's okay. We're doing pretty good. I said I wanted to do 90 minutes and we're like almost right at the 2-hour mark. I am looking at some other topics I wanted to get into before I wrap up tonight's show. Let me just take a look at the other topics because I put it in the show linear notes. And hey, man, if you're enjoying the episode so far, make sure you give it a like. Really appreciate that. And one thing I want to point out to you guys, as of March 1st, which right now on the East Coast, it's March. Some other parts not quite yet, but effective as of March 1st, on my Patreon account, we're going to be releasing some new content. We are going to be rolling out more new 30 with Lee episodes. Those are only going to be exclusive to our Patreon members. And if you want to take advantage of that, let me tell you what all you get first as a Patreon member, and you can't beat this. For the $5, just to cough up $5 a pledge a month, you guys get access to new 30 with Lee episodes, and I'm actually going to be doing 2 episodes a month of 30 with Lee. Guaranteed 2 episodes of 30 with Lee a month. You are also going to be getting exclusive Lucha Underground shows. It'll be my after show for Lucha Underground. You'll all be able to check that out. We're also going to be doing some special video Q&As for our Patreons. That's not going to be shared anywhere else, just among Patreon community members. So you get all that for $5. You can't beat that. And I'm also considering like some other cool content that we can try to have be on there as well. So there is a community section that's there on the page. If you all want to make some suggestions and all that, you can definitely do so. Go to patreon.com/RCWR Show. That's Patreon, patreon.com/RCWR Show. So I'm pretty pumped up for this next chapter that we're doing, man, because it's nice to do something a little bit more intimate, a little bit more exclusive. And I tell you what, I don't care if I'm only getting one person that's going to be supporting the RCWR Show on Patreon every month. And you know what, that one person is going to be getting all that new content. But we're trying to do stuff in a way where it's more exclusive for true supporters of the show, true people that, true fans that appreciate the show. And I tell you, man, it is expensive doing this on a month-to-month basis. I mean, when it comes to prize giveaways, when it comes to, I got to get this DVD because I got to review it for, and then I got to think about website maintenance, upkeep, then I have to think about audio storage. I do have to pay for audio storage on some platforms. So all that can be very, 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 what's the right word I'm looking for? It can be cumbersome financially. So, this kind of, gives you guys an opportunity, if like 20 people were to get together and cough up $5, it's like, that's like a third of what I'm doing on a monthly basis knocked out. So, this gives you an opportunity to get a hold of really cool, nice, exclusive content, be a part of something really cool, really special. And together, we all try to figure out, like, okay, what would be like a really cool thing to do, for our Patreon community. And we all can brainstorm, put some really cool ideas together. Also in the works, we're going to be doing like a lot more, traveling in a way where if there's going to be some wrestling events that's going to be going down, we're going to try to see if maybe we can like go to that event, if, depending on the wrestlers that's going to be there. Some of them I know, some of the people for, certain promotions I kind of know, and I can be like, hey, you think I can come in? And so you guys will get like access to exclusive interviews. There's a lot of shit that's going to be in the works, so you guys are really going to enjoy that. And for those of you that maybe are not in a position where you can donate right now, you can still help out. All you got to do is just share the link throughout social media. Anytime you see it on Twitter or you see it on Facebook, share it that way. Speaking of Facebook, I got to remind you guys something new we're doing, and I did fix it from last week. You guys can now go over to our Facebook page and you can leave a rating and review for the show. Just click on the reviews tab, and when you do that, shout out to everybody that's been leaving the reviews so far. And I can't stress it enough, if I am not deserving of your 5-star rating and review right now, that's okay. Do me a solid, just go on the Facebook page, go in the visitor post section, let me know what you need before I can earn your 5-star rating and review. And I'll let you know honestly if that's something that I can definitely work on. So looking at some other show notes as far as what we need to be getting into tonight. You know what? I'll end it on... Oh, man. How much showtime we got here? We got about 2 hours and 6. Do I want to... Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll hold off on the fast lane picks. I'll hold off on that for like maybe YouTube or Facebook. This one I do want to talk about though. So I was watching the news earlier today. This is a fun story too, and I didn't even know this shit had happened. But does anybody remember Kemp Mill Records? Well, over here in the DMV, they were really, really popular. It's a famous chain, famous record store. Very popular. It exploded in the 1970s. And I thought all the Kemp Mill record stores had closed, but there was actually one left. And that one lonesome one that was floating around is actually in Prince George's County off the 3000 block of Branch Avenue in Temple Hills, Maryland. And I bring up this story because the owners of this particular Kemp Mill Records, Armando Cruz and Danny Lamb, they have been running that store for like the past 14, 15 years, and they started off as employees at Kemp Mill Records going back to the 1980s, and they had just past 14 years, they had finally got in a position where they were able to like buy up all the Kemp Mills that they could, and they tried to operate them that way, but like slowly but surely they all just started like dying off one by one. And then there was only this Kemp Mill music store that was left. And a little bit of a sad story, as not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, so the second Saturday in March, will be the last time that Kemp Mill Music will be open, because they're going to be closing down its doors. Long story short, These guys sadly cannot afford to continue to pay their lease. Like, they've been managing to all this time, but what's the real tale is the fact that the landlord has decided, look, I need somebody that can make a long-term commitment to me, and you guys just pretty much doing, I believe they were doing like a year-to-year thing or something like that. He basically had got somebody that was willing to commit to 10 years, a 10-year lease. So he basically told the owners at Kemp Mill Records, you guys got to roll the fuck out. Sorry, you guys, I'd love to, but you guys got to go. And the reason why I'm spending this time talking about Kemp Mill Records is because here in the DMV, Kemp Mill Records has showed a lot of love to up-and-coming independent artists. Kemp Mill Records was perhaps the only record store in the DMV where if you were a local punk band, if you were a go-go band, if you were a up-and-coming rapper, and aspiring artist, you could come to Kemp Mill Records and you can say, hey man, look, I'm trying to drop this new music on folks. Kemp Mill would actually let you put up your records, in a little section. However many mixtapes or whatever you had, they would actually let you go on ahead and they would do it. Now, some of them, they let you do it for free. And then you had others, they would work out some type of a deal where it's like, okay, well, if you're going to be selling your albums for $5 each, okay, well, for every, $5 out of that $5, just give us $2 and it's okay. But you used to be able to go into Kemp Mill Records, talk to whoever the store manager was or whatever, and next thing you know, your shit would be right there. So it was really fucking badass. And I don't know how many of you are into go-go like that, but DC's own Rare Essence. 3 in the morning in the pancake house. 4 in the morning, we be rolling to my house. 5 in the morning, she be giving me head. 6 in the morning, talking about the fun she had. 7 in the morning, and she just getting home, talking about the overnight scenario. That's the shit right there, man. So, Rare Essence. Kemp Mill Records, they fucking made them, because without Kemp Mill, there probably would not be a Rare Essence. All right? So, go-go bands like them, and just for go-go bands, period, in the DMV, Kemp Mill Records showed them a lot of fucking love. Now, the owners, they're saying that it's very well possible that they could try to see about opening up at another location, but they did admit that would be rather challenging because a lot of the landlords that's out there nowadays that are interested in commercial real estate, or leasing, they want long-term contracts, and that's just something that they really cannot commit to, quite honestly. But Kemp Mill Records, a force to reckon with in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. They really started diminishing in the 2000s. That's when it all had really came down, and you could find all kinds of CDs, cassettes, vinyl albums you used to be able to get at Kemp Mill all the time. So definitely a piece of DMV history is going away here, man, and it's quite sad, when I really think about it. So will I be going to that Kemp Mill in a couple of weeks? Yes. I'm probably not going to be able to go this Saturday, but I'm definitely going to be there the following Saturday. I see Kirk Cousins has been tagged. They franchise tagged him, so he's going to be getting a guaranteed $24 million. Last time they franchise tagged him, he basically had made $20 million. So this is some new uncharted territory that we're going into right now, as this marks the first time that a quarterback in NFL history has been given the franchise tag for 2 consecutive years. in a row, like first time ever. So this somewhat guarantees that Kirk Cousins will somehow get a long-term deal with the Washington Redskins, which is what he wanted. Now, as a result of this franchise tag, has a few conditions. One of the main ones being that Kirk Cousins cannot negotiate with any other team now. Now, going into June, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember the exact date, but the Redskins still reserve the right to trade Cousins. They have until June, I want to say like June 14th, June 15th, something around that time frame, to trade him. Now, San Francisco has shown great interest in Cousins for very good reason. You now got Mike Shanahan over there, and he's always had a liking for Cousins. So talk about a nice reunion. But if they were to work out some type of a deal with Cousins, they definitely would have to cough up 2 first-round draft picks. And I don't think that's something that the 49ers are really interested in doing right now. How do I personally feel about this? That's a lot of money to be given to Cousins for another year. You're basically paying him, hey, do what you can. Try to help us get into the playoffs if you can. That's basically what you're saying. If you can. I'm glad it's for 1 year. But quite honestly, Redskins cannot continue to play around with this guy. I'm talking about Redskins management. They need to figure out, okay, let's see what this guy can do for us this year. And they need to just be about it. If this guy is going to be somebody they want to make a long-term investment with, then so be it. But, if he can come close to duplicating what he's been doing the past 2 years as the starter, he seems to be understanding the Jay Gruden system very well. He's really good. He's got a really damn good arm. I will give him that. He's a good pocket passer. I'll give him that. But he's got to step it up. I really did not like the way the season had started off. A bit shaky. Then it kind of seemed like they started warming up towards the end. I really need to see something from Cousins this year to even warrant getting a 3 or 5 year deal. So we'll see what happens. But if you ask me, quite honestly, I really kind of felt like they shouldn't have done it. But it is what it is now. I mean, I'm still optimistic. Look, when it's all said and done, Redskins ain't my team. I'll watch them if they're on TV and I can't watch nothing else, and Tammy wants to watch them, but, me personally, that ain't my team. But I wish the Redskins fans, I just hope they have a really good season that they can be really, really proud of, because the Redskins, the fans of Washington Redskins, they have been feeding for another championship for so long, man, and that's the honest truth. President Trump, he did address the nation tonight. In a nutshell, I'm not going to beat the horse to death. First 25 minutes of what he put out there sounded like the same rhetoric that we heard on the campaign trail. But I got to be honest with you. After the first 25 minutes, because he talked for about an hour, 8 minutes exactly. I got to be honest, after about the first 25 minutes, he kind of opened up. I mean, it was scripted, but you could tell the parts where he was just like, okay, I just need to shoot from the hip here. I got to speak from the heart. And he was giving us a piece of the man behind the suit. And I must say, it was kind of refreshing to see. We didn't get the traditional doom and gloom. The president that we got tonight, I must say, it was one of the best speeches that he's given since he entered this whole political spectrum. What was it, 18 months ago or something like that? I was really taken back by the speech and, the plans that he's trying to lay out. It's like, okay, I hear you talking. You want to talk about unity. You want that really was one of the main things that he kept bringing up. Unity. Unity amongst the American people, unity amongst parties, because basically he's like, now's the time. Now's the time for us to stop with all the rhetoric, bigotry, and he was throwing some stuff out there, but he pretty much was like, now's the time for us to come together and do really good, great things for this country, for our children. And I kind of like the tone that he had set. It was a really good tone that just kind of made me feel a little bit optimistic, but at the same time a little bit leery. I'm still a little bit cautious, because it's like, and you guys know how it is, 1 minute you get like, oh, President Trump said that, huh? Okay, that's cool. But then the next minute, why the fuck did he say that? And then you see like a backtrack, and he's trying to do damage control, and but I was really taken back by the speech. I would definitely implore you guys, because I'd love to pick on you all's brain a little bit. If you didn't get to see the speech tonight, check it out. Now that I've told you how I felt about it, and look, I'm one of those guys that, quite honestly, you gotta put in the time with me to really win me over. And I'm not saying he won me over with his speech tonight, but he definitely opened my eyes up a little bit in a way where it was kind of like, okay, now you're starting to show me a little bit of the human side of Donald Trump, not the robotic guy that we've been getting these past 18 months spewing the same shit. It was a really emotional, touching moment when there were key individuals that he pointed out that was there in the gallery. One of them was a woman that had lost her husband named Ryan. He was a soldier. Talk about the sacrifices that he had made for the country. There was a young girl that was disabled, and her father, she had got like this rare disease, and her father like spent his money, his time, his resources to try to find her a cure. And she was diagnosed with this rare disease like when she was like 18 months old or something like that. And because he never gave up, and he was able to do the necessary research he was able to do and hook up with the right laboratory that tested out these different drugs and all that, basically they were able to save his daughter's life. And like, you fast forward to now, I believe I think she's the one that is in Notre Dame now, but yeah, she's like in college now, and that got like a standing ovation from everybody. That was probably like one of the most emotional moments of the entire night, and it didn't really come off like plant here, plant there, let's put another plant right here. It was just really kind of like humanizing Trump. And it was almost like we were kind of getting just a little bit of a glimpse into the man behind the suits, the man behind the reality shows, the man behind he said that during an interview. So I would encourage you guys to definitely check it out. I don't know if maybe you can watch it on C-SPAN or some shit like that, or maybe you can read the transcript highlights. But you should definitely check it out when you guys get the chance. I'd be caught dead if I ended the show and did not talk about this. We had a couple of passings that went down since last we were on the air with you all. Joe Wapner, People's Court, the original reality court judge. He passed away. It was just pretty much his time. He had passed away at the age of 97. Several years back, he had got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. As a kid growing up, I remember all too well the People's Court. I love Joe Wapner. One of my favorite. I mean, don't get me wrong. And it's so funny because, like, we're now in this day and age where, like, everybody has their own goddamn court TV show. You got the marriage counseling divorce judge, the little black lady. You got Judge Judy. You got Judge Mathis. You had that white guy, I can't think of his name, a tall white guy, salt pepper hair, kind of skinny looking dude. I used to watch his show a lot too. I mean, you lose track though, because it's like there's so many judges. It's like, damn, every single judge got a goddamn TV show. And then you had the New People's Court with the red-haired woman from, I think, New York. Look, I love New York, but I personally did not give a flying fuck about her. I thought that shit was kind of weak. We were first introduced to Harvey. I can't think of his last name, but the guy that is now in charge of TMZ and all that. We were first introduced to Harvey through the People's Court long before TMZ had launched. So, but you know, that version of the People's Court, it just, you know, it was okay, but like it wasn't quite the same. But everything originated from the original gangster, from the original, I guess you got to say OJ in this case, not OJ Simpson, but the original judge and Joe Opner. I mean, that guy was tough, no nonsense. He ain't had time for that shit. There's just something about his rapport that was just, damn, I don't want to go to that guy's courtroom. I think the closest person that maybe tapped into that just a little tiny bit was maybe Judge Judy, but sometimes she would go so overkill. Like, sometimes you wanted to strangle the shit out of her. You know, because it's like, why is she talking to people like that? Because sometimes you watch enough Judge Judy, you'd be like, damn, she's talking to a motherfucker like they're fucking stupid. Like, what the hell is wrong with her? So, yeah, he passed away at the age of 97. And, of course, there was a shocking passing that had went down as well. I had talked about this briefly on my Facebook page over the weekend when we first had found out, but rest in peace to Bill Paxton. Definitely an underrated actor who never really had that one true career defining moment in a movie that was like his, you know, that was like, he was not only the leading man, but it was such a impactful, a memorable, like, you're talking about it for years to come. You know, he was always like one of those best supporting type of actors for the most part, but he definitely made his mark respectfully in some pretty notable films, whether it was Apollo 13, Aliens, Terminator, Weird Science, Apollo 13, of course, Twister. The man had just filmed a new CBS TV series, Training Day, based off of the movie starring Denzel Washington. CBS had green-lighted the series for 13 episodes. That's how they're typically doing it nowadays. They'll air like the first 4 to 5, and usually by week 5 or 6, they'll have an idea on whether or not they want to renew that series for a second season. And when they do want to do a second season, they tack on more episodes. So that's how you'll then get, for your second season, 20 or 24 episodes. So, yeah, he had just did that. The series had just premiered, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say maybe the second week in February it had premiered. I believe they're probably now on their 4th episode. And I noticed the ratings were pretty strong, but it was on a steady decline by the 3rd episode. I think it went from like 4.73 to about like maybe 3.6 something. So I'm very curious now, like now that he's passed, whether or not if the ratings are gonna kind of go on a rise. But he had went in apparently for some type of routine surgery, and next thing you know, man passed away. I mean, that's really, really tough to hear when you hear that, man. But yeah, he died in Los Angeles, California. Oh yeah, we also got to show him love for the HBO series Big Love. But yeah, when he had passed away, I'm looking at the official news now. Yeah, there was complications following a heart surgery. that he had passed away. So again, heart surgery. It was being described as a routine surgery. You know, he should have been in and out, but just goes to show you, man, it doesn't matter how fit you are. It doesn't matter how young you look, how healthy you try to eat, how healthy you try to be overall. When your time, it comes, it comes. I'm reminded of Bob Harper of Biggest Loser. He had revealed in an interview earlier in the week that he had suffered a heart attack 2 weeks ago. He was just working out, and the next thing you know, boom, went unconscious. And he was unconscious for like 2, maybe 3 days, and he found out the hard way that apparently he had suffered a heart attack. And Bob's, I think Bob's 51. Bob Harper, how about that? Biggest Loser for you guys. That's like Bob Harper, the trainer with the beard, white guy with the beard, sweet guy. I'm not saying that to be funny. He really genuinely comes off as a really nice, sweet guy. So it doesn't matter how fit you are and all that, man. It's like it knows no boundaries. When it hits you, it fucking hits you. Like, you just pray you're going to be able to survive it. You know, live to fight another damn day, man. See some other stuff that went down here. How we doing on Showtime? Yeah, that ain't too bad. See what else we got. Other than that, do I want to get into these two? I'm gonna save those. I see 3 topics I want to get into, but I'm actually gonna save those for YouTube exclusives. So, Fastlane picks, I'm going to do that live later this week. I'm going to probably end up doing it on, I think I'm going to do it on YouTube. And what's going to be a Facebook exclusive, I want to talk more about this Shaquille O'Neal Big Show thing that apparently now they're not going to be doing their match at WrestleMania. I want to talk a little bit more about that. I also want to talk about this whole Shaquille O'Neal, JaVale McGee drama that's been going down. I'm sure you guys probably had heard about that. So we'll talk all about Shaquille O'Neal on Facebook Live this week. The way we're going to be doing it, I'll do Facebook. Let me think for a second. Okay, so I'll fire up YouTube on Thursday and we'll give you guys my Fastlane picks. And then Friday for Facebook, I'll talk about the whole Shaquille O'Neal fiasco. And that should be fun. I know we also got to do another installment of some Q&A. So we'll definitely figure out how we're going to do all that. Yes, there will be a Fastlane after show, by the way. I'll be coming on live, Spreaker, and on YouTube as soon as Fastlane goes off the air. I saw we had picked up a new follower while we were live on the air. First time checking out the show, welcome. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss out. Remember, if you like what I do, subscribe, click that heart, click the like. Most importantly, leave the ratings and reviews. Remember, you can now do it on our Facebook page. And that is going to do it. So I'll catch you guys later this week. Still got plenty of good content to pump out for you all. Those of you waiting for this one to downloads, give me about 20 minutes. I'll have this ready for you guys. Everybody, a very good night, good morning. Take care.